Hello everyone, today I'm working on this Bachmann E60CP. I got a confession to make. There's only three types of engines that I like: steam, diesel, and electric. So I like this. So this has a chrome finish, which is unusual for N scale. You can see the shell is damaged a little bit, but still it's going to be okay, I think, to run this. Of course, I could repaint it, and I've got coupler work to do, which I'm used to that. That's going to be okay. And the two horns are there, and they're chrome horns, which is also unusual. And my pantographs there, they've been pretty badly damaged. So we'll see what I do with that. I don't plan on spending too much time on that. So these actually are pretty good runners. They're noisy, but they run well. Inside of them is the exact same drive as these SD40-2s with the blinking lights. So the same. These, they run pretty good, actually. I keep them. I don't sell them. I like them. But they are just a little bit noisy. So if you want to repair one of these, inside the drives, all the gears, it's exactly the same thing as the SD40. So I would like to find out if this thing runs. So let's go put it on the track. So let's see what happens when I apply power. Oh, look at that. She's a runner. That is excellent news. Although she could use probably a good wheel cleaning. Yeah, definitely. But other than that, she's gonna run. All right. So let's start cleaning this by removing the shell. There's two places down here where you can pry. Obviously, this engine has a big frame. So just like the prototype, it's super heavy. Oh, can you see here? The middle truck here has traction tires. Not that it needs it. This is a good puller. So even if the traction tires were gone, it would still be good. There. And these, they would keep the circuit board on the roof there. I don't know if you could see, but that thing still worked with directional lighting. Everything's perfect. So that part of the engine is really high quality. So there's your frame, there's your big frame, and it is heavy. So that's a good puller. The shell is gonna go under my tap with my toothbrush and some soap. Just for your information, I've seen people do this. They take a drive from an E8, a Concord E8 or Concord E7, and they just stick it in there. And I've seen people do it. It's a little bit long, but it's not horrible. So this will work. I'm keeping the Bachmann drive. The Bachmann drive is okay. But let's say it's your favorite engine and you run it all the time. Maybe it's a possibility. Okay, so let's clean this up. So it doesn't look too dirty. This is a split drive. So there's just two screws on the front and the back. Oh, that's a good question though. When I put it back on the shell, I don't know if there is a front or a back to this. It looks pretty symmetrical all around. That's why it's good, you know, if you're gonna do this, there's a good tip for you. Always take pictures as you take it apart. So for me, that's not a problem. I can go back and watch my video I mean, the only way I can tell it apart, which one is the front, which one is the back, is the writing. If the writing's on this side when I take it apart, then that will tell me which way is the front, which way is the back. Now, as we take this apart, see the parts I take out first, I put them further, and as I take things down, I'll be keeping them closer and closer. So the truss would probably fall out of this. That's okay. And that reveals your drive, which is not very complicated, super simple, but effective. And as I look at my motor, that's a tiny motor, but the gearing they've chosen is smart. It works for me. I don't have any complaints about it. I wish the motor was just a little bit bigger, but this is what Bachmann has chosen to do, and it works. So you can see from the factory they put a lot of lubrication. I'm just gonna clean this up maybe a little bit, but this lubrication usually is really good. They put a lot of it, but it's still malleable, so I'm gonna keep some of it in there, although I'm just taking out the excess, and I am going to run it under my tap. But first I'm gonna take the motor out. The trucks is where I'm gonna spend most of my time. You can see there's a bunch of hair in there, so that's gonna be a lot of work. But actually did not keep the engine from going. It just doesn't look too good. And since I have it apart, I'm gonna remove these side frames here. You have to be very careful. If the plastic breaks, you're buggered. But there's just a little pin at the end there. The little drive shaft is symmetrical, so you don't have to worry about the order that it came out as. There, just a little tab down here, you can pull on it. So the side frames, those are getting cleaned. And then you have these contact strips here. I think they just fall out. Actually, they're stuck in there pretty good. I'm okay with that. But I think you just have to get through over these pins and they'll just fall out. The gears on these are not too shabby. They don't tend to break like a lot of the Bachmann stuff from that period. So you just take out the wheels, then the gear will fall out. They're all the same except this one has traction tires. I'm keeping them. They're alright. Just pry on these very gently. If they're hard to take out, that's a good sign. If the gear was cracked, it would be so easy to pull them out. That is a very good sign. I don't know if you can tell how dirty these contact strips are. Usually the engine stalls, it's not necessarily the contact strips. It's very likely to be the wheels. There, my contact strips are coming out. That's going to not allow me to get in there and clean everything. What a mess. Oh yeah, you can tell that wheel is very dirty. Let me see if I can give you a close-up. Well, there's your problem right there. This is what was keeping it from running. So we're going to give that a good clean. So once you have all your wheels out and the gears will fall out and the contact strips will fall out, you're left with this worm gear and the gearbox. So that goes under my tap with my toothbrush. This one gear is cracked, but I don't think it's going to affect how the engine runs too much. Anyway, we'll find out in no time. And then what I do I'll just take my time and make sure that the wheels are squeaky clean before I put them back on. This is what I spend the most of my time on, making sure the wheels are perfect. Now I've got everything clean, I'm gonna get ready to put everything back together. And since I have my gearbox in my hand, I should tackle this coupler thing. Bachmann, they have these coupler pockets which sit, it's the same for the trucks as the engines. It's a little bit of a pain to work with. This is gonna pull the El Capitan, so I'm gonna use these fake knuckle couplers that some of the cars come with. That's gonna work well. So these are not always easy to work with. Let me try and refocus this for you. If the spring flies out for some reason, I'm going to be doing it off camera. But I'm going to try to do it for you there. I'm getting closer. Let's see what we got. Yeah, that looks good. That's gonna work. So I'll do the other side for sure off camera, but this side I think is gonna work. There you go, so you can see. So that's good. So this type of contact strip, there is a trick to them. If this arc here, if it's too straight, it will create too much force against the wheels, and you don't want that. And if it's too shallow, it won't pick up electricity. So you have to make it shallow, but not too shallow. That way it'll rub against the bottom of the frame, but it won't create too much force to drag against the wheels. There, that's going to be good. And then I'll just drop my gears there. There's no direction for this. And then I'll bring, remember the middle axle? It was the little traction tires. Then I'll bring these together very slowly, one at a time. And I will take a minute to bring my track gauge to make sure they're 100%. I've been using this a lot lately. That is a good help. Actually, I want them to be on the shallow end, on the small, shorter end, because they are a little bit wider than the prototype wheels. So they could sit a little bit shorter, but they'll still ride on the track. Yeah, I'll keep that close by. So I give my wheels just a little bit of slack, so I can guide this contact strip just behind them, and the wheels will hold them in place. So you keep doing the same thing for all 6 wheels. That looks good. Couplers on, everything's on. And then I can bring my side frames back. The side frames, this pin is longer than this pin. So this pin goes towards the coupler, and this pin goes toward inside the engine. Now I could put just a little bit of lubrication on there. They still have a lot of lubrication from the factory, but I am gonna put maybe just a drop, just to say that I did something. And that should be way enough for that. I also test them with my fingers just to be sure that everything's good. That looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to do the exact same thing for the other side. I'm thinking of making a video where I paint the wheels. So that will make the engine look more realistic, although probably when you see the engine going down the track you won't see it. At any rate, you can put down in the comments below whether you think it's a good idea for a video or if that would be maybe a little bit boring. If there's enough people interested, I'll probably make that video on that. That seems to be good. I'm going to put everything back together now. On this side, there's going to be two little insulators there. You have to look out for them because they can come out, and if they do, if you don't have them, the two frame halves can touch each other, and then that would be bad. You get a short circuit. That feels good. This black color here, that's a special anodizing that they use. That's really good quality. As you put your trucks back, you have to make sure that the frame is touching its pins, but that also your contact strip is under the frame. So it's a little bit tricky to do it, but you have to do it like that or else nothing's gonna work, and your side frames won't, your trucks won't turn. Oh, what's this? Have a little pin that's not in its place. Okay, perfect. Just gonna make sure that my motor's sitting properly. Here we go. I can just bring my side frames and my trucks back in. Always checking that everything's lined up properly. Excellent. And then I will do the same to the other side. And then we'll bring the other side of the frame on it. I'm taking my time because I want to make sure that my contact strips are touching the frame right like they're supposed to. Once you got that lined up, you can bring your two screws back in and then tighten them. It doesn't have to be very tight, just hand tight. So I just start them and then I'll bring them in like that. And then I'm gonna go test that on the track, but before I do, I'll check it on the bench. Turns out some of the gears were bad, so I had to switch it with gears from my SD40, but I've got it down now. That sounds pretty good. Okay, let's see how it runs on the track. That's okay. They're supposed to make that kind of noise. Like I said, they're a bit noisy, but they're good pullers. Alright, let's put the shell back on. These go back in nice and easy. It's just the two tabs here that hold the shell together. So compared to other engines, it's really easy to work on, I find. Then you have to spread out the shell just a little bit. I think I can. Yeah, Model Railroad, everything is so precise. That's one reason I like to work on them, just to see all the engineering that's gone into them. Here we go. And now it's time to run some trains. Don't you just hate being stuck at the crossing behind a slow-moving train? Really upsets me. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly had fun making it for you. See you soon.